The forgotten warning. The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. Shadows stretching across the tall crystal pillars. Only the faint hum of the starlight screens filled the air. Showing maps of galaxies and shifting fleets, the elders sat. At the center, their faces heavy with fear. Their voices were old and cracked, but their words carried a weight no one wanted to accept. "Humans are different," whispered Elder Sarek, his 3 eyes trembling with memory. "They are not like us. They rise from ashes. They grow stronger from wounds. They will not bow. They will not break." But across the room, young leaders of the great empires laughed. Their golden robes shimmered as they leaned back on jeweled seats. "Humans?" scoffed Lord Krethik of the Vorn Dominion. "They are a backwater species. Born on a death world, they fight because they are desperate, not because they are powerful. They are nothing more than savages with iron sticks." Another voice rose. Sharper, colder. Elders cling to old ghost stories. Sneered Counselor Vera of the Silver Nebula Alliance. "They want us to tremble at bedtime tales. The galaxy has moved on. Humanity is only one among thousands. They will be crushed if they resist." The elders lowered their eyes. They had seen something the young had not in ancient times. Long before the council was strong, a human fleet had appeared at the edge of the stars, small, battered, and outnumbered. Yet, against impossible odds, the humans had fought until even the conquerors were forced to retreat. That memory was carved into history, but history was often ignored. Elder Sarek raised his voice again. "You do not understand. The humans do not need numbers. They do not need vast technology. What they have is something greater, unyielding spirit. They are like fire, small at first, but unstoppable once. It spreads." But laughter drowned him out. The younger races loved power. They loved to believe their fleets, their armies, their weapons made them untouchable. The elders' warning was like dust in the wind outside the council chambers. Whispers traveled among the servants and guards. Even they could feel the fear pressing from the elders. Stories spread quickly of humans who once faced monsters larger than ships, of humans who survived frozen nights and burning deserts, of humans who tamed their own wild world. If they could endure their planet, what could stop them in the galaxy? Yet those in power dismissed it. They wanted conquest. They wanted expansion. And humanity stood in their way. In the following weeks, orders were drawn, secret plans unfolded. An alien empire, the arrogant Vorn Dominion, decided to test the humans. A small colony on the edge of space, Terra Nova, became the chosen target. The Vorn fleet moved quietly, their ships like blades in the dark. Back in the council chambers, the elders watched the reports. They begged once more for caution. "Do not provoke them. Do not awaken the storm." But their words were ignored. The council voted, and the majority sneered at the idea that humans could ever rise against them. And so the decision was sealed. The first spark was struck. On Earth itself, the humans had no idea. Farmers worked in fields. Children played in cities. Soldiers trained in bases. Life was hard, but humans had always known hardship. Across the stars, they had settled colonies, always struggling, always enduring. They did not yet know the galaxy had chosen to test them. Elder Sarek, in the quiet of his chamber, recorded his last message. His hands trembled as he spoke. "To whoever finds this, know that we tried to warn them. Humanity is not like others. They are not a force you can measure. They are not an enemy you can crush. They are the storm, and storms cannot be stopped." The record blinked, sealed in crystal, hidden deep beneath the council archives. Few would ever hear it, but the prophecy was written, and far away, at the edge of Vorn-controlled space, human scouts detected strange movements, strange signals. Ships shifting in the void. They reported back with urgency, but their commanders only said, "Stay calm, stay alert." Humans did not panic. Humans prepared. The galaxy laughed, the elders mourned, and humanity sharpened its blade in silence. The warning was given, the warning was ignored, and the war had just begun. The first clash, the Vorn Dominion believed their victory was already written. Their warships, forged of dark metal and fueled by arrogance, glided toward the human colony. Terra Nova, to them, it was only a test. A simple strike to remind the galaxy who held power. Admiral Kruthick, commander of the fleet, stood tall on the bridge of his flagship. His 4 arms rested on polished steel as he sneered at the glowing map. "One colony with farmers and miners," he said to his officers. "They will surrender within a single breath, and humanity will be on its knees. But far below, on Terra Nova, humans were not bowing. They had seen strange readings in their skies. Unusual energy spikes, vanishing stars, and broken signals across their scanners. Their commanders did not shout or panic. Instead, they gave a simple order: prepare. Colony was small, but humans were used to being outnumbered. Families dug bunkers, children were hidden in caves. Soldiers cleaned their rifles and sharpened their blades. They did not know how many ships were coming, but they knew what had to be done. When the Vorn fleet arrived, the sky of Terra Nova turned black. Thousands of alien vessels spread like wings of shadow. Their weapons glowed with the heat of destruction. Farmers and workers looked up, fear gripping their hearts. But beside that fear burned something else: anger. The first strike came like thunder. Fire rained from above. Buildings exploded, and the ground shook with endless power. The Vorn soldiers marched onto the soil, their armored boots crushing stone. They laughed, believing the fight was already won. But then, the resistance began. From the ruins rose humans, covered in dust and blood. They carried weapons far smaller than the Vorn expected. Crude rifles compared to plasma cannons, yet their aim was sharp, their movements unbroken. They fought street by street, corner by corner, refusing to give an inch. The Vorn soldiers were larger, stronger, and armed with superior technology. But the humans were relentless. A farmer with nothing but an old hunting rifle brought down a Vorn warrior. A group of miners lured soldiers into tunnels, collapsing the stone on top of them. Children carried ammunition while elders whispered courage. Admiral Kruthick watched from orbit, his grin fading. Reports poured in of heavy resistance, of units wiped out, of Vorn soldiers retreating. He slammed his claws against the steel. "Impossible," he growled. "They are primitives." But he did not understand. Humans fought differently. They did not fear death the way others did. Each fallen human only seemed to ignite the fire of the living. Every wound made them angrier. Every loss made them more determined. On the 3rd day, the Vorn attempted to crush the colony with a single devastating strike. Plasma cannons charged, ready to turn Terra Nova into dust. But before they could fire, a group of human pilots launched from hidden hangars. Their ships were tiny compared to Vorn war cruisers, patched together with metal and hope. Yet those tiny ships struck with the precision of wolves, diving between larger vessels, blasting engines, and ramming reactors. Vorn warships began to fall, one after another, burning across the sky. For every human ship destroyed, another pushed forward. For every pilot lost, a new voice rose on the comms. "Keep going. Don't stop." The colony still burned, but it was not broken. Admiral Kruthick finally realized the truth. He turned to his officers, his voice shaking with rage. "They do not fear us," he said. "They do not surrender. They fight like they want death itself. They are unstoppable." But his words came too late. A single human strike ship, its hull torn and leaking fire, rammed into his flagship. The explosion shook the heavens. The Vorn fleet scattered, retreating into the dark void, leaving behind silence and wreckage. On Terra Nova, the humans stood among the ruins, their faces hard, their clothes torn. They buried their dead, then raised their weapons once more. They knew this was only the beginning. News spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Alien races whispered in disbelief. The Vorn Dominion, mighty, cruel, and feared, had been repelled by a single human colony. Whispers of the elders' warning returned louder than ever. Some alien leaders laughed nervously, calling it luck. Others trembled, remembering the words carved into history. Humans will not break, in the council chamber. Silence fell as reports arrived. The young leaders who had mocked the elders now shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Yet still, pride blinded them. Some demanded revenge. Some demanded the humans' extermination. They did not see what was already growing. For on Earth, in hidden shipyards and secret bases, humanity was preparing. Their fleets were being built. Their soldiers trained. Their eyes burned with fire. They knew the galaxy would come for them, and they would be ready. The first clash was over, but the real war had only just begun. Whispers of fear, the smoke of Terra Nova's battle had barely cleared when the galaxy began to whisper. Across markets, taverns, and starports, stories spread faster than ships could travel. Every voice carried the same words: humans had stood against the Vorn Dominion, and the Vorn had retreated. At first, many did not believe it. How could one small colony of miners and farmers push back one of the galaxy's most powerful empires? But survivors told their stories. Pilots who escaped the burning skies spoke of human ships diving like hunters, striking with no fear. Soldiers whispered about human fighters who kept shooting even when bleeding, even when their homes burned around them. In the shadows of the council chambers, the elders lowered their eyes. Their warning was now alive. Their voices had been ignored. But the truth was spreading without their help. The younger leaders grew restless. They wanted to bury the news, but fear had already taken root. Ordinary citizens of alien worlds began to speak differently. Some spoke with awe, others with terror. If humans can resist the Vorn, what else can they do? Whispered a merchant on a distant moon. Perhaps the stories of the old days are true. Answered another. Perhaps they are not just another species. They are something more. Meanwhile, the Vorn Dominion tried to cover its shame. Their leaders claimed it was a mistake, a minor setback. They declared the battle would mean nothing once they launched their full fleet. But deep in their own ranks, soldiers trembled. They had seen the human fire in their eyes. They had felt that unbreakable will, and it haunted them. The council gathered again. The chamber was heavy with silence. Maps glowed on starlight screens, showing the spread of human colonies. Counselor Vera slammed her hand on the table. "We cannot allow this," she hissed. "If humans rise further, they will threaten us all. They must be crushed now." But others hesitated. "We said the same to the elders," muttered one leader. Yet, the humans fought back. If the Vorn could not break them, how can we? The argument grew louder. Some demanded unity to wipe out humanity before it grew too strong. Others urged for peace, for negotiation. Their voices clashed until the chamber echoed with rage. Yet no decision was reached. Outside the council, the whispers grew louder. Across the stars, alien families told their children not to provoke humans. Soldiers muttered that fighting a human was equal to fighting death itself. And merchants began to secretly trade with human outposts, curious about this species that refused to die on Earth. The humans themselves were silent. They mourned their dead, rebuilt their colony, and strengthened their defenses. Factories worked day and night. Shipyards glowed with fire. Soldiers trained harder. Farmers became fighters. Children grew up faster. Humanity understood what was coming. The galaxy would not forgive them. The galaxy would come with vengeance, and humanity would be ready. In hidden corners of space, human scouts intercepted strange signals, messages of alien fleets gathering. The warnings were clear. The next attack would not be small. Entire armadas were preparing to descend. But instead of fear, the humans only tightened their fists. "Let them come," said a commander coldly. "We will show them again." The elders, far away, sat in their lonely chambers. Elder Saruk whispered into his crystal records once more. "The storm is rising. I can hear it in every whisper. I can see it in every report. They still do not listen, but soon they will have no choice." Meanwhile, in alien streets, fear turned to paranoia. A single human traveler walking through a market could silence an entire crowd. No one dared to provoke them. No one dared to insult them. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy looked at a species not as prey or rival, but as a threat beyond reason. But pride is a powerful poison. The Council still debated. The Empire still boasted. They believed that with enough ships, enough weapons, they could erase humanity. They told themselves that the first clash was only luck, a trick. They did not see what was already building on Earth. And then, a signal shook the galaxy. Hidden probes near Earth transmitted images. Massive shipyards filled the skies. Human warships rising from dry docks, thousands of them. Each one forged with speed and fire. Unlike the alien fleets built for display and pride, human warships were built for survival, efficient, brutal, and unstoppable. The whispers grew louder. The fear turned sharper. "The humans are not waiting," said a frightened counselor. "They are preparing for war." Still, arrogance held the galaxy's leaders in place. They refused to admit what the whispers had already decided. The humans were coming, and when they came, nothing would stop them. The human counterstrike. The galaxy thought humans would stay on the defensive. They believed Terra Nova was only luck, a small flame that could be crushed before it spread. But humanity did not wait. Humanity struck first. From the dark edge of space, fleets of human warships emerged. Their hulls scarred, their designs rough, but their power undeniable. These were not ships of pride and glory like the alien empires built. These were ships born from necessity, crafted in silence, forged in fire. The first counterstrike came against a Vorn outpost, a fortress that had never fallen in centuries. Its towers reached into the stars, and its fleet ringed the skies like blades. The Vorn commanders laughed when the human fleet appeared, small. They mocked, "Clumsy, their weapons are nothing against us." But the humans did not fight like the Vorn expected. They did not meet them ship for ship. Instead, they struck at weak points. They vanished into asteroid fields, reappearing with precision strikes. Human ships fought like predators, silent. Until the moment of the kill, within hours, the fortress was falling. Vorn ships exploded, one after another. The humans fought without mercy, but also without waste. They did not chase fleeing ships. They did not show off. They simply destroyed what stood in their way and moved on. Panic spread. Reports reached the Council that the Vorn fortress had been reduced to wreckage in less than a day. "Impossible," cried Councillor Vera. "No one breaches the Vorn defenses." But the reports could not be denied. The humans had not just defended. They had taken the fight to their enemies. Survivors of the battle told terrifying stories. They spoke of human ships appearing from nowhere, of soldiers boarding war cruisers with nothing but rifles and explosives, of humans who fought until their last breath, smiling through blood. One alien captain described the moment a human squad stormed his bridge. "They did not fear death," he said in a trembling voice. "I shot one through the chest. He kept coming. He grabbed me with his dying hands and pulled me down. His eyes burned like fire." The council chamber trembled with division. Some shouted for total war, to unite every empire against the humans before it was too late. Others warned that such unity would only fuel the fire, but none could deny the truth anymore. The humans were not hiding, they were advancing on Earth. The leaders met in secret halls, their faces lit by starlight maps. "They underestimated us," one general said. "Now we show them the cost." Humanity was not seeking conquest, but survival had taught them a cruel lesson. To survive in this galaxy, they could not be prey. They had to strike harder than their enemies, and so more fleets moved, one after another. Human warships attacked hidden outposts, supply chains, and strongholds. Each strike was precise, ruthless, and unstoppable. The galaxy had never seen war like this, not from such a young race. Elder Saruk recorded again in his crystal archive, his voice heavy with sorrow. "I warned them, but no one listened. Now the storm is here. Humanity does not fight for conquest. Humanity fights because it must. And nothing in this galaxy can resist that." In the darkness of space, one of the greatest moments of fear arrived. The humans captured a high-ranking alien general during a counterstrike. He was dragged into a cell, expecting torture or interrogation. But the human soldier guarding him only smiled. "You haven't seen anything yet." The soldier whispered. Those words spread like poison across the galaxy, repeated in every shadow. The alien general, once feared by thousands, now sat broken. His voice shook as he told the council of what he saw. "They are everywhere," he whispered. "They do not stop. They do not rest. We cannot fight them as we fight others. They are something else." The whispers of fear had become screams. Armies began to crumble. Soldiers deserted before even facing humans. Fleets refused to leave dock. Merchants prayed that humans would pass them by, yet the galaxy's rulers, blinded by pride, still plotted. They gathered their warships, believing that if they combined all power, they could finally end humanity. They did not realize they were already too late. Because humanity had already changed the battlefield. They were no longer defending their colonies. They were no longer the hunted. They had become the hunters. Every star system humans entered became a graveyard of broken fleets. Every battle became a story whispered in terror and across the stars. The Elder's warning echoed louder than ever. Humans are unstoppable. The galaxy had not believed it. But now, with every counterstrike, with every fire burning in the void, the truth became undeniable. Humanity was not just fighting back. Humanity was rising, and nothing could stop the storm. The turning point, the galaxy was breaking. Piece by piece, empire by empire. The humans shattered the illusion of invincibility that had ruled for centuries. The Vorn Dominion was wounded, its fleets scattered, its pride crushed. Other empires trembled, unsure if they would be next. Yet in the grand halls of the Galactic Council, the rulers still argued. Some shouted for revenge, their faces red with pride. Others whispered about peace, their voices trembling with fear. But in every word, one truth remained: the galaxy could no longer ignore humanity. Elder Surak sat in silence, his eyes heavy with sorrow. He had warned them again and again, but arrogance had blinded them. Now, as he listened to the debate, he whispered to himself, "The turning point has come, and none of you see it." Outside the council chambers, whispers turned into panic. Entire worlds prepared for war. Soldiers refused to march. Citizens demanded protection from the Death Worlders who would not die. Merchants grew rich trading human weapons, human food, and human designs. For the first time in history, the galaxy looked to humanity not as prey, but as power on Earth. The preparations continued. Factories worked without rest. Families gave everything to the war effort. Entire cities became shipyards. From orbit, Earth looked like a blazing forge, filled with light and steel. Humanity was not only fighting battles, it was reshaping itself into something greater. Then came the Council's desperate plan. One faction, led by the Silver Nebula Alliance, unveiled a terrible weapon, a machine capable of tearing apart entire planets. They called it the Sunbreaker, and with it, they believed they could finally crush Earth. The weapon was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Powered by stolen suns, fueled by unimaginable energy, it could erase humanity with a single strike. The Alliance leaders smiled with cruel confidence. "Let the humans resist this," they said. But spies moved in the shadows. The humans had long known about the Sunbreaker. Their scouts had intercepted fragments of plans. Their agents had whispered warnings. By the time the weapon was revealed, humanity was already preparing. In secret councils, human commanders gathered. "If they unleash this weapon," one said grimly, "we are finished." Another leaned forward. "Then we must destroy it before they can use it." Humanity had no choice. The turning point was here. Either they struck now, or they would be erased. The mission was unlike any before. A fleet of human warships, smaller than those of the Council, moved silently into enemy space. They knew the Sunbreaker would be heavily guarded. They knew they might never return, but not one hesitated. The battle came swift. The Sunbreaker floated in the void like a black sun, its surface glowing with terrible power. Around it, thousands of ships waited. The human fleet appeared, and the void exploded into fire. The aliens believed numbers would save them, but humanity had already changed the rules. Human ships cut through their formations like blades. Their strikes were not random but precise. Every shot found a weakness, every sacrifice opened a path. Boarding parties stormed enemy vessels, fighting in corridors of fire and smoke. Human soldiers carried explosives, their armor scorched, their breaths ragged, yet they moved forward, step by step, even as thousands fell. Then came the final strike. A small squad of humans breached the Sunbreaker itself. Inside, they fought through endless halls of light and steel, facing alien guards who outnumbered them 10 to 1. But still they pushed forward. One soldier, bloodied and broken, reached the weapon's core. He planted the final charge, and with his last breath whispered, "For Earth." The explosion ripped through the weapon, fire bloomed in the void, and the Sunbreaker was no more. Across the galaxy, the news spread. The weapon meant to end humanity had been destroyed by humanity itself. The Council fell into chaos. Their greatest chance was gone, their unity shattered. And the whispers changed into something new. No longer was it fear alone. It was respect, it was awe. Entire races began to question their rulers. Some even sent secret envoys to Earth, offering peace, trade, or even alliance. Humanity, the once ignored species, had forced the galaxy to bend. Elder Saruk closed his eyes as he listened to the reports, his heart heavy, but his voice steady. "This is the turning point," he said. "From here, the galaxy will never be the same." On Earth, there were no celebrations. Humanity did not cheer. They buried their dead, rebuilt their ships, and prepared for the next storm. They knew the war was far from over. The galaxy would not stop, and neither would they. The galaxy had tested humanity. Humanity had endured. Humanity had struck back, and now, with the Sunbreaker destroyed, the galaxy realized the truth. The elders had been right all along. Humans were unstoppable. The unstoppable advance, the destruction of the Sunbreaker, sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For centuries, the Council had believed that weapons of immense power would always decide wars. But the humans had proven otherwise. They destroyed what was supposed to be invincible, and in doing so, they shattered the pride of every empire. Now whispers turned into open panic. Soldiers refused orders. Commanders hesitated. Some empires even pulled their fleets back from the front lines, hoping to avoid human attention. But it was too late. Humanity was no longer defending. Humanity was advancing across the stars. Human fleets moved like storms. They struck deep into enemy space, not with overwhelming numbers, but with precision and fury. Every battle followed the same pattern. The aliens would arrive confident, their fleets shining with arrogance, and within hours, the battlefield was nothing but wreckage. What made the humans terrifying was not just their weapons, it was their will. When others would retreat, humans pushed forward. When others would surrender, humans fought with bare hands if needed. Every loss only made them fight harder. Every wound only added to their resolve. An alien captain captured after a battle was asked why his fleet had broken so quickly. His answer was simple. "We were ready for soldiers, but not for monsters who refused to fall. They fought through fire, through vacuum, through death itself. How do you fight such a species?" On Earth, the people worked as if possessed. Entire continents became shipyards. Cities glowed like furnaces, pumping out weapons and warships. Children grew up reciting stories of Terra Nova. Farmers turned into engineers, and students turned into pilots. Humanity itself had become an army, and still, they were not cruel. Unlike the empires that burned planets to ash, humans did not destroy worlds without reason. Instead, they offered choices: submit peacefully and live, or resist and be erased. Many worlds surrendered without a fight, terrified yet strangely relieved, for the humans, unlike their rulers, did not enslave or torture. They demanded loyalty, not chains. This confused the galaxy. Some called humans merciful. Others called them cunning. But everyone agreed on one thing: humans were unstoppable. The Council grew desperate. They launched one final plan. A massive fleet of united empires, bigger than anything ever seen before. Thousands of ships from dozens of worlds gathered. Their commanders swore that this time, humanity would fall. This time, they would crush the Deathworlders. But when the fleets clashed, the outcome was the same. Humans moved like shadows, striking weak points, sowing chaos. Entire armadas collapsed as human ships slipped past their lines, detonating reactors, splitting carriers in half. For every human vessel destroyed, 2 alien ships burned. For every human life lost, a dozen enemies fell. In the middle of the chaos, alien soldiers reported seeing something that froze their blood. Human troops walking through battlefields engulfed in flames, carrying their wounded, refusing to die. They moved with such certainty that many believed them to be more than flesh and blood. "They are not warriors," one alien survivor whispered. "They are the storm itself." Back in the council chambers, fear consumed the leaders. Reports piled up of lost fleets, broken alliances, and entire sectors falling under human control. Councillor Vera, once so confident, now trembled as she spoke. "We cannot stop them," she admitted. Her words, though whispered, echoed across the chamber. And then came the moment that broke the galaxy. Humans did not stop at defeating armies. They marched straight into the heart of empires. They captured planets that had never been touched. They entered halls that once ruled with terror. And in every victory, they planted a simple message: humanity had arrived, and humanity would not leave. Among the ruins of a captured fortress, a young alien soldier begged a human commander, "Why do you fight like this? Why do you not stop?" The commander looked at him, his face marked with scars, and replied, "Because we know what it means to fall. We know hunger, pain, and despair. You never broke us because we were broken long before we reached the stars. And we learned to rise every time." That answer spread almost as fast as their victories. Aliens who once hated humans began to admire them. Some even joined them, hoping to fight beside the unstoppable force. For the first time, unity was shifting. But not in the Council's favor. It was shifting toward humanity. Elder Sarik, watching all of this from the shadows, whispered into his crystal once more. "The unstoppable advances here," I told them. But they laughed. Now, their laughter has turned into screams. The storm has come, and it will not be turned aside. And still, humanity pushed forward. Battles became legends, soldiers became myths. Their enemies fell one after another, and the galaxy finally understood. The elders had been right all along. Humans were unstoppable. The unstoppable advance, the destruction of the Sunbreaker, sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For centuries, the Council had believed that weapons of immense power would always decide wars. But the humans had proven otherwise. They destroyed what was supposed to be invincible, and in doing so, they shattered the pride of every empire. Now, whispers turned into open panic. Soldiers refused orders, commanders hesitated. Some empires even pulled their fleets back from the front lines, hoping to avoid human attention. But it was too late. Humanity was no longer defending. Humanity was advancing across the stars. Human fleets moved like storms. They struck deep into enemy space, not with overwhelming numbers, but with precision and fury. Every battle followed the same pattern. The aliens would arrive confident, their fleets shining with arrogance, and within hours, the battlefield was nothing but wreckage. What made the humans terrifying was not just their weapons, it was their will. When others would retreat, humans pushed forward. When others would surrender, humans fought with bare hands if needed. Every loss only made them fight harder. Every wound only added to their resolve. An alien captain captured after a battle was asked why his fleet had broken so quickly. His answer was simple: "We were ready for soldiers, but not for monsters who refused to fall. They fought through fire, through vacuum, through death itself. How do you fight such a species?" On Earth, the people worked as if possessed. Entire continents became shipyards. Cities glowed like furnaces, pumping out weapons and warships. Children grew up reciting stories of Terra Nova. Farmers turned into engineers, and students turned into pilots. Humanity itself had become an army, and still, they were not cruel. Unlike the empires that burned planets to ash, humans did not destroy worlds without reason. Instead, they offered choices: submit peacefully and live, or resist and be erased. Many worlds surrendered without a fight. Terrified yet strangely relieved, for the humans, unlike their rulers, did not enslave or torture. They demanded loyalty, not chains. This confused the galaxy. Some called humans merciful. Others called them cunning. But everyone agreed on one thing: humans were unstoppable. The council grew desperate. They launched one final plan: a massive fleet of united empires, bigger than anything ever seen before. Thousands of ships from dozens of worlds gathered. Their commanders swore that this time, humanity would fall. This time, they would crush the Deathworlders. But when the fleets clashed, the outcome was the same. Humans moved like shadows, striking weak points, sowing chaos. Entire armadas collapsed as human ships slipped past their lines, detonating reactors, splitting carriers in half. For every human vessel destroyed, 2 alien ships burned. For every human life lost, a dozen enemies fell. In the middle of the chaos, alien soldiers reported seeing something that froze their blood. Human troops walking through battlefields engulfed in flames, carrying their wounded, refusing to die. They moved with such certainty that many believed them to be more than flesh and blood. "They are not warriors," one alien survivor whispered. "They are the storm itself." Back in the council chambers, fear consumed the leaders. Reports piled up of lost fleets, broken alliances, and entire sectors falling under human control. Counselor Vera, once so confident, now trembled as she spoke. "We cannot stop them," she admitted. Her words, though whispered, echoed across the chamber. And then came the moment that broke the galaxy. Humans did not stop at defeating armies. They marched straight into the heart of empires. They captured planets that had never been touched. They entered halls that once ruled with terror. And in every victory, they planted a simple message: humanity had arrived, and humanity would not leave among the ruins of a captured fortress. A young alien soldier begged a human commander, "Why do you fight like this? Why do you not stop?" The commander looked at him, his face marked with scars, and replied, "Because we know what it means to fall. We know hunger, pain, and despair. You never broke us because we were broken long before we reached the stars. And we learned to rise every time." That answer spread almost as fast as their victories. Aliens who once hated humans began to admire them. Some even joined them, hoping to fight beside the unstoppable force. For the first time, unity was shifting. But not in the council's favor. It was shifting toward humanity. Elder Sarek, watching all of this from the shadows, whispered into his crystal once more, "The unstoppable advance is here. I told them, but they laughed. Now their laughter has turned into screams. The storm has come, and it will not be turned aside." And still, humanity pushed forward. Battles became legends. Soldiers became myths. Their enemies fell one after another. And the galaxy finally understood. The elders had been right all along. The humans were unstoppable. The final revelation: the galaxy was silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of defeat. The fleets of the mighty empires were gone. Their proud banners burned to ash. The Galactic Council no longer commanded fear. Its chambers were empty, its rulers scattered. All that remained was the shadow of humanity, standing unbroken on 1,000 alien worlds. The same question was whispered: what will the humans do now? Would they conquer? Would they enslave? Would they erase everything in their path? Fear gripped the stars, for no one knew what humanity truly wanted. But humanity surprised them once again. Instead of planting flags of conquest, instead of declaring themselves rulers of all, the humans chose something different. On captured worlds, They repaired broken cities. They returned food to starving children. They helped rebuild homes that enemy fleets had destroyed. Soldiers who had fought with fire in their eyes now carried supplies and lifted rubble. The galaxy did not understand. Why show mercy when they could have taken everything? Why help those who once tried to kill them? A mother on a distant planet wept when a human soldier handed her child bread. Why? She asked in disbelief. The soldier only answered softly, because no child should starve, not even ours, not even yours. Word spread quickly. The unstoppable humans were not destroyers. They were something far more dangerous. They were builders. They did not break the galaxy to rule it. They broke it to change it. Elder Serac, frail and near the end of his life, listened to these reports, his crystal archives nearly full. With his last strength, he spoke. They have fulfilled the prophecy. The humans are unstoppable, not because of their weapons, not because of their strength, but because of their will. When others destroy, they rebuild. When others surrender, they rise. That is their secret, and it is why no one will ever defeat them. The council chambers were abandoned, but across the galaxy, new gatherings began, and in every one, humans were present, not as subjects, but as equals. They shook hands, they signed treaties, they shared knowledge. Even those who had once cursed them now joined their new alliance. For who could resist a species that offered not chains, but hope? Yet fear did not vanish completely, for some aliens whispered, if humans can be merciful, they can also be merciless. If they build, they can also destroy. Who will stop them if they ever change their mind? This question reached even the youngest in a small village on a distant moon. A little alien girl tugged at her mother's hand, her voice trembling. Will humans rule us forever? The mother looked down, her eyes full of uncertainty, and whispered back, no, my child, they will walk beside us, and that is far more terrifying. For the galaxy had learned the final revelation. The elders had been right all along. Humans were unstoppable, not because they sought power, but because they refused to surrender to despair. They carried their scars like armor. They carried their pain like fuel. Every defeat only made them stronger. Every tragedy only sharpened their resolve. And now, with the galaxy standing at their side, humanity was no longer just one species among many. They were the fire that lit the darkness. They were the storm that broke the chains of fear. They were the builders of a new order. From the ashes of war, a new alliance was born. Its flag carried not the crest of the council, but the mark of unity, and at its center stood humanity, not as rulers, but as leaders who had bled to prove their place. In the silence of his chamber, Elder Serac placed his final crystal into the archives. His last words echoed across time. I told them, but no one listened. Now they all know. Humanity is not a species you can defeat. Humanity is the lesson the galaxy will never forget. And so, the story ended not with destruction, but with revelation. The humans were unstoppable, not because of fear, but because of hope. Not because of conquest, but because of their will to endure. The galaxy had fought them, mocked them, cursed them, and still humanity rose. And now, no one could deny the truth. The unstoppable had arrived.